each of the respective departments, and also then try to seek your inputs and suggestions. And I'm glad on this occasion we have the Secretary. Yeah, I was also thinking that I am not able to hear my voice as loudly as I should hear. Mr. Datwalia is...
It's okay. Maybe slow. Take it.
Hello. So I said, as was explained to you right in the beginning, that the PIB has started this process of organizing press conferences for each of the departments so that they can present before you the report card of what has been done in the last 1 year, ever since this government came into being, and also try to seek your suggestions and inputs about what can be done and how best we can improve upon ourselves. And I'm glad on this occasion we have with us the Secretary and an eminent scientist, Dr. Sinha, with us, and on the other side we have Dr. Basu and Dr. Purohit. Incidentally, this is one department which doesn't have its headquarters in the Union capital. So this is another unique feature which was not highlighted in the presentation. So I'll just try to, instead, not risking repetition, try to put forth certain points which were not brought out. For reasons of being more professional, but from the point of view of media consumption, we have, incidentally, both the departments are under my responsibility, the Atomic Energy and Space. One has its headquarters in Bangalore, the other one in Mumbai. So this is the one in Mumbai. So I am glad that this is an occasion for all of us and my colleagues to be in Delhi with the Delhi fraternity of media persons. When I was watching this presentation and also trying to understand what it was all about, what occurred to my mind is, I don't know how it would be taken. I was telling myself that it's a very pleasant coincidence that I am connected with this department and I'm in the responsibility of this department in the year when we are actually observing the Diamond Jubilee of Bhabha Atomic Center, something which is not been stated as prominently as it should have been. We've been always quite a few months through it. And 75 years since Dr. Homi Bhabha, 60 years, since Dr. Homi Bhabha set up this ambitious project, like his own baby, right from the equipments, the laboratories, and if you visit the center, even the garden and the layout of the compound has been done by him. And you have actually to visualize and to be imaginative to understand how difficult it would have been for him to start that center at that point in time, primarily for two reasons. And to some extent, he must have also received certain amount of ridicule from certain quarters. A, because nobody at that time thought that India was capable of doing something like atomic energy. We were already faced with a host of problems in the immediate post-independence era. The problem of food scarcity and the problem of our defense capability almost beginning from scratch. And at that time, Dr. Homi Bhabha took up this challenge, placed before the government, and said that he wanted to, and this was an elitist concept at that point in time, which was actually considered to be a privilege of the elitist nations, least of all India, which had achieved independence just about 5 years earlier. So that is how we have to actually look at this department to understand how far we have come. And the second reason also possibly of ridicule that time was that under Dr. Homi Bhabha and the then government, it was claimed that we are going to there was a lot of skepticism about experimentation in the field of atomic energy, particularly in the aftermath of what had happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And if you just stretch your mind, you would realize that this center was set up just within 10 years of that catastrophe in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when the entire world opinion was against any further headway in this field. And India at that time claimed that we were going to set up this department for peaceful purposes. So we were ridiculed that time for saying so, but we have actually over the last 6 decades vindicated this. When we said India would have a nuclear power capability and an atomic energy center which would be comparable to any other good center in the world, but it would be devoted to peaceful purposes and peaceful growth, we were not taken seriously. We were not even believed much. But over the period of time, we have proved that to the rest of the world. We have today one of the best atomic energy or nuclear capabilities in the world. May I say so, Secretary Sir, with your permission? And in spite of that, I reiterate, we are committed to use it for peaceful purposes. So that way, as I said the other day, we have actually lived up to the ideal of Mahatma Gandhi's peace mission. As Gandhi always said, non-violence is not a virtue of the meek. You have all the arms ammunition at your disposal, you have all the strength to carry out an assault, and still you choose not to do so because of your faith in non-violence. And therefore, it has reiterated India's faith in peace and India's also commitment to move ahead with the rest of the world. And it is also a pleasant responsibility for me that me and my colleagues have had the opportunity of being a part of this department in a year when there was a historic change in New Delhi with the coming in of the new government. And fortunately, we had, as Prime Minister, somebody like Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has an inherent scientific temper and who's always there to encourage us, inspire us, and to also give us new ideas, as was being pointed out during this presentation. And therefore, to cut long story short, in the month of July itself, when he visited the Bhabha Atomic Center, he placed before us 2 important objectives, which I think are extremely relevant in the context of 21st century. A, that we would try and endeavor to give our atomic energy or nuclear power capability a human face. And I personally also believe that any scientific experiment does not reach its full accomplishment, optimal accomplishment, unless it does not have a firm social commitment and a firm economic stake to survive. And that is what the Prime Minister exactly prompted us to do. And the second target, as he always prompts us to move ahead on a faster track, was that we should try and endeavor to achieve twice the amount of capability within next 10 years. I'm glad that within a period of just about 10 months from July to now, we have made a big headway in that direction. And I think one of the important landmarks as far as this capability is concerned would be in the form of an announcement, which I'll make just in a couple of moments from now, because that will form the news value. The rest of it was history and academics to keep you engaged. But then you'll ask, what is the news? So what I'll now make announcement is one big leap forward in the direction of achieving Prime Minister's dream of tripling our power. Before that, just dwelling on some of the features of achievement which were being talked about in the last 1 month, I think it's not a small achievement, as was being pointed out, that 765 continuous days, the highest in the world. And the nuclear fuel 1252, again the highest. So we are actually registering records which are indeed highest in the world. And in the month of June, when the Honorable Prime Minister visited the ISRO Center, which also incidentally I am related to, he flagged off the idea of a SARC satellite. In other words, that is also given to us to play a role of being some sort of help, assistance, though not big brother, to our neighboring countries. And in the field of atomic energy as well, we have succeeded to an extent, as was being pointed out to you through the number of agreements signed during the last 7 to 8 months. In the month of February, we entered into an agreement with Sri Lanka, and now we have started hosting training programs for scholars and interns from other countries. In atomic energy, of course, we recently had a training program in the month of January, February for scholars from Bangladesh. In space also, though I'll talk about it later, we are now started even having boys and girls from the advanced European countries. In the month of May, we had this teletherapy center for Mongolia, which was provided. So we have already started playing a leading role as far as our presence in the community of the SARC countries and the subcontinent countries is concerned in the field of science, technology, and in today's context in the field of atomic energy. So that is among the achievements. And if some of the other achievements have not been counted, of course, most of them have been already covered up. The Prime Minister's personal interest has been a great booster. And I'm not saying so just for saying, because I happen to be a member of the ministry, so it's part of my obligation. As some of you may say as a tailpiece, it's not so. I myself am a student of science and therefore believe in talking on the basis of evidence. It was Prime Minister's visit to France, during which we entered into a very important agreement between the L&T and the Areva, which would enable us to achieve the technical know-how for our plants, for the heavy water reactors, and which would enable us to achieve the indigenous capability of running these plants, quite in keeping with the Make in India mission that has been flagged off by the Prime Minister. It was again during Prime Minister's visit to Canada that we could clinch the deal to get 3,000 tons of uranium over the last 5 years. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is that the Prime Minister himself, during each of the visits abroad and even in the course of his normal activity, has always kept in mind how best he could actually help us, assist us, and enable us to overcome the stumbling blocks that otherwise would have come, where Prime Minister's intervention would have actually helped us to go ahead, where otherwise it would not have been that easily possible. Similarly, during presentation, I don't know how visibly you noted, the Atomic Energy Department has also started more actively or proactively participating in the health-related activities, in the cleanliness activities. And may I say so very proudly, with certain degree of pride, as a member of this department, that atomic energy has also, in its own way, contributed to the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, something which nobody could have ever visualized. And atomic energy, when you hear the name, you hardly think of something like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, but we have. And therefore, we have tried to live up to that commitment and live up to that inspiration of being of utility to the society as well as to the human activities. Now, coming to the last part of it, as far as this is something we've done in the last 10, 12 months. Of course, this is not to say that nothing was done before that. And therefore, in order to escape that kind of criticism, I myself started from 1955, and started from Dr. Homi Bhabha. So if Homi Bhabha had not happened, we would not have happened. But the idea of this meet today is to present before you what we have tried to do to push this forward and to make it more visible in diverse fields, as diverse as Swachh Bharat, as diverse as a cancer hospital, and as diverse as teletherapies and telemedicine. And then, as I said a couple of moments ago, a very satisfying announcement from the point of view of all of us working in this department and what we had been working on, and which is also, I am glad to claim, would at least not wholly but partly move us ahead in the direction of achieving 3 times the capability, the target set before us by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. There was a plant under the name Gorakhpur Haryana Aru Vidyut Pariyojana, which when abbreviated reads like GHAVP. So this was supposed to be a pressurized heavy water reactor. It was sanctioned by the earlier government. It had met with some problems on the way and was not moving forward. We have all tried to contribute at our might. There were problems about tenders not getting matured because of the problems of insurance pool, etc. So with the effort of all the colleagues, and I must say efforts of the scientists actually get a boost only when they have political patronage. Usually the scientists remain alienated from the political establishment for reasons better known to all of you. But here, this is another evidence of the kind of patronage that we received from the government. We were allowed to use all our resources, and therefore only yesterday we launched an insurance pool for this project, which would now enable the concerned parties, groups to come forward for the tendering procedure. Yes, it's for the entire nuclear program, but certainly it will help this, the project which was stuck, as the Secretary is pointing out. And when this thing was being accomplished yesterday, I told Dr. Sinha, I said, to my mind, there is also another aspect to it. This will also bring the participation of some of the northern states, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Jammu, Kashmir. Some of these states were actually little out of the atomic energy mission of the country. It was confined to more of the other states, which you know very well. So I think we have also, in a way, succeeded in giving our atomic energy program a more pan-India image through this new initiative. That is one. And the second announcement, which could be of some importance to you, is, as I said, incidentally, this is one of the 1 or 2 departments in the country which does not have its headquarters in Delhi. And therefore, in the Diamond Jubilee year of the Bhabha Atomic Center, we'll at least try to make up for that part also in 1 or 2 ways. We are going to have a media workshop, which I suggested when I visited Bhabha Atomic Center. I said we should have to have our presence in Delhi as well, for reasons that this happens to be the capital. So even though we are very comfortable where we are, but without your participation, we don't get the kind of encouragement that we look forward to. So we'll have a media workshop to share with you friends about what all we've been doing all these years. I'm very keen about that. I even suggested to the Secretary that periodically we'll have a more of a media interaction in Delhi also, besides, of course, having it at other places where we are already existing, and to give it a more public awareness, or you can say a mass education value. we have planned a center called Hall of Nuclear Power in Pragati Maidan at the New Delhi Science Center. So we'll have a, because as looking after the Ministry of Northeast, I could succeed in setting up a Brahmaputra gallery in Guwahati and a Northeast Study Center in Guwahati University. So I told them, if people don't come to Guwahati or Northeast otherwise, they'll at least come to study. If you have 2 or 3 departments which are like people were going to Kharagpur without knowing where is Kharagpur, just because they wanted to be a part of the IIT. So similarly, for a long-term and a permanent arrangement of mass awareness about day-to-day work that is being done, and also to thereby attract and inspire young budding scientists to our kind of work, we'll have a permanent hall of nuclear power set up in the premises of the capital city of New Delhi very shortly. So these are 2 or 3 things which we have very ambitiously dreamt of for the coming few months. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir. Now the floor is open to questions. Let's start with Dubey. Okay.
मंत्री जी, मेरा सवाल ये है आपसे कि एटॉमिक एनर्जी की बात हो रही है, लेकिन हम बात करें न्यूक्लियर आर्म्स की, तो खासकर बात होती है जब हमारे एक पड़ोसी के पाकिस्तान की तुलना में तो लगता है कि हमारे पास सफिशिएंट न्यूक्लियर आर्म्स हैं, लेकिन जब बात होती है चाइना से तुलना की जाती है तो लगता है कि भारत के पास बहुत, उसकी तुलना में बहुत कम न्यूक्लियर आर्म्स हैं। तो क्या स्थिति है और क्या कंटिन्यू भारत इस दिशा में बढ़ रहा है कि मुल्क जो दुनिया के बड़े देश इस तरह की शक्ति रखते हैं, भारत भी उस तरह की बराबरी कर सके सही मायने में? और खासकर मुशर्रफ के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, मुशर्रफ ने जिस तरह से धमकी दी कि हमने परमाणु बम शब बारात के लिए नहीं रख रखे हैं, तो इस तरह की स्थिति से क्या किसी भी स्थिति से भारत निपटने के लिए तैयार है?
अब जो मेरा उत्तर होगा, that will not satisfy your appetite. The reason being that A, I will not like to get engaged into the debate about Musharraf at all and others. B, that as I said right in the beginning, we are in a very peaceful Department of Atomic Energy to promote our program for peaceful purposes, for social and economic applications, which I have already enumerated before you. The least that happens to us, or which happens to our vision, is to ever to use it for destruction. And therefore, we would not like to discuss that. There are other concerns. And therefore, we would leave it to others to answer. Maybe the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of External Affairs would try to address your doubts and queries.
Amitesh, I'll come to you.
Sir, Sir, Venkatraman from Janamala. Yes. Can you give us some more information about the Kodangulam power, nuclear power project? As well as the people are more concerned about the safety and security of this particular project. Can you give us some more information?
No, as far as Kodangulam 1 is concerned, from the end of 2014, it has become applicable for commercial operations. Is that right? Started already in the last 4 or 5 months. And Kodangulam 2 is close to commissioning. So we are already moving in a very progressive manner. As far as the hazard part is concerned, you've raised a very relevant question, and I think that we need the help of all the friends from the media as well. We face these problems whenever we have to set up a new project like this about the health hazard concerns, etc. But we have ample number of studies which have proved that there is no visible hazard as a result of these plants being located in a particular place. And we have also evidence of the studies conducted on our scientists who are actually working in these plants, done very scientifically through their regular investigations and blood samples, and there also did not find any visible adverse outcome happening. And I think Dr. Sinha will bear me out, and Dr. Basu will bear me out, though this is not a flattering statement. In 60 years, none of our scientists has suffered from cancer. And that is something which is being talked about us. If you locate this over here, we'll have cancer. But all of us are there, and we have scientists who were born, brought up there virtually. They got trained there and they're working there. So this is a message we have to convey in order to, avoid the avoidable hassles which come in the way.
अमितेश सिंह न्यू जनरेशन से मेरा सवाल है सर, बीएसएफ की तरफ से 39 टेररिस्ट कैंप के बारे में बांग्लादेश को सूचना दी गई, जिसके बाद एक्शन शुरू हुआ है, तो इसे क्या माना जाए? क्या प्राइम मिनिस्टर का जो बांग्लादेश दौरा हुआ उसके बाद इस तरह से बांग्लादेश के रूप में परिवर्तन आया, भारत सरकार इसे किस रूप में देखती है?
I think the head of PIB has not allowed me to answer this question.
I think we'll move on, yes. One minute, yeah, this is a department, yeah.
सर, प्रमोद गवली, लोकमत समाचार। सर, मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ प्रोजेक्ट की दिक्कतें, खासकर आपके सहयोगी दल शिवसेना द्वारा जो पैदा की जा रही है, उसको दूर कर लिया गया है, और जैतापुर प्रोजेक्ट कब और कैसे शुरू हो?
नहीं, बहुत बढ़िया प्रश्न किया आपने। वास्तव में ये प्रश्न उस प्रश्न से जुड़ता है जो पहले पूछा गया, और उसका उत्तर भी उसी से जुड़ता है, क्योंकि यही जो धारणाएं हैं कुछ लोग में कि इस प्रकार का यदि कोई संस्थान वहाँ स्थापित होता है तो स्वास्थ्य पर इसका प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पड़ेगा, और मैं इसीलिए आपके सहयोग की भी हमें अपेक्षा है, और इसीलिए ये जो न्यूक्लियर हॉल यहाँ पर बनाने की एक योजना और कल्पना की गई है दिल्ली में, उसका एक ये भी दायित्व रहेगा कि आम जनमानस को ये समझाया जा सके। अब क्या होता है कि साहब एटॉमिक एनर्जी का संस्थान कहाँ है, बम्बई में है, बहुत से लोगों को इसकी जानकारी नहीं रहती, कभी एक आध कोई नया प्रयोग होता है तो समाचार पत्रों में आता है। अब समाचार पत्रों के लिए और इतनी सारी बढ़िया खबरें हैं, कौन किसने किसकी टांग खींची, क्या किया, तो इसको खबर भी नहीं मिलती। तो इसलिए हम थोड़े से फोकस से बाहर रहते हैं, और फोकस से बाहर रहने का एक साइड इफेक्ट ये है कि इस प्रकार की धारणाएं पैदा हो जाती हैं। तो यदि हम अधिक फोकस में रहेंगे तो इस प्रकार की गलतफहमियां भी दूर होने की अधिक संभावना रहेगी। इसलिए जो इस प्रकार की विडंबनाएं या मिसगिविंग्स हैं, शंकाएं हैं, उनको दूर करने का प्रयास हो रहा है, निरंतर बातचीत भी हो रही है, और मुझे विश्वास है बहुत जल्द हम ये थोड़ी बहुत जो अड़चनें आ रही हैं मनोवैज्ञानिक स्तर पर या दूसरे कारणों से, इनको हम इन पर काबू पा लेंगे। और जहाँ तक उस प्लांट का संबंध है, वो लगभग अभी शुरू करने के लिए उसकी योजना बनाई जा चुकी है।
जैसा पता है, ये जैतापुर परियोजना भारत और फ्रांस के बीच जो समझौता हुआ था उसके अंतर्गत बनाई जा रही है। फ्रांस की कंपनी अरीवा और न्यूक्लियर पावर कॉरपोरेशन के बीच में काफ़ी दिनों से ये निगोशिएशंस चल रहे हैं, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी ज़रूरत ये है कि टेक्निकली और कमर्शियली ये प्रोजेक्ट वायबल होना चाहिए। टेक्निकल
इनका था कि वो भी के जो सम एप्रीहेंशंस अमंग पीपल,
नहीं वो नहीं, दूसरा प्रश्न था कब शुरू हो रहा है उसके बाद। तो ये जो टेक्निकल इश्यूज है, इसके लिए जैसा कि बंसी जी ने बताया, इन दोनों कंपनी के बीच में एक प्री इंजीनियरिंग एग्रीमेंट हुआ है, जिसके अनुसार फ्रेंच कंपनी एक डॉक्यूमेंट्स बना करके देने वाली है, जिससे ये निर्धारित होगा कि जो हमारे नियामक मंडल के जो रूल्स हैं एटॉमिक एनर्जी रेगुलेटरी बोर्ड के, उसके ढांचे में उनकी जो उनका जो प्रोजेक्ट है, उनका जो प्लांट है, उसके अनुरूप वो डॉक्यूमेंट तैयार होगा, क्योंकि हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट है। उन्होंने जो बनाया था पहले वो किसी और रेगुलेटर को ध्यान में रखते हुए बनाया था। ये एक पहला स्टेप है। और दूसरा स्टेप है कमर्शियल वायबिलिटी। उसके ऊपर न्यूक्लियर पावर कॉरपोरेशन के फाइनेंस के लोग और उनके लोगों के बीच में काफ़ी बातें हो रही हैं, और इसमें ये भी एक संभावना व्यक्त की गई है कि कीमत कम करने के लिए भारत में निर्माण किया जाए, जैसा कि मंत्री महोदय ने अभी बताया। उसके आधार पर हम ये देखेंगे, और ये तो बहुत ही ज़रूरी है कि जब बिजली बनेगी तो वो बिजली यहाँ सेलेबल हो, तो उसको बिका जाए। तो यूनिट एनर्जी कॉस्ट एक महत्वपूर्ण एक पैमाना है जिस पर कि उनकी वायबिलिटी को आंका जाएगा। तो ये जब ये निगोशिएशन कंप्लीट होंगे तभी ये प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च किया जा सकता है। मैं यही कह सकता हूँ।
एक बात मैं जोड़ दूं डॉक्टर सिन्हा की बात के साथ कि ये जो प्री इंजीनियरिंग एग्रीमेंट जिसका इन्होंने उल्लेख किया, ये भी संपन्न की गई प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के फ्रांस प्रवास के दौरान। तो फ्रांस के उनके टूर की एक ये भी उपलब्धि रही। अक्सर इसलिए मैं ये बातें कह रहा हूँ कि जो इस प्रकार के हाई प्रोफाइल विजिट्स होते हैं उसमें कई बार ये विज्ञान के साथ संबंधित बातें छूट जाती हैं समाचारों से। तो ये फ्रांस में दो महत्वपूर्ण बातें हुई थी एटॉमिक एनर्जी की केवल दृष्टि से, एक एल&टी और अरेवा के बीच का समझौता, और दूसरा प्री एग्रीमेंट जिसका सेक्रेटरी साहब ने उल्लेख किया। इसके अतिरिक्त और बहुत सी विज्ञान की बातें हुई हैं जो शायद आज के इस कार्यक्रम से संबंधित नहीं।
My question is to Dr. Sinha. Sir, can you elaborate more on this insurance pool? Is it limited to the Haryana itself or the entire nuclear? And what companies are involved?
मंत्री जी ने भी बताया सिविल न्यूक्लियर लायबिलिटी एक्ट के अनुसार 1500 करोड़ के अंदर nuclear power corporation has to be ready to pay compensation promptly to the victims of any nuclear incident.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
let me just complete.
one minute, Venkatraman. एक मिनट. Yeah.
हाँ डॉक्टर साहब जितेंद्र सिंह से सवाल है कि सर एक सवाल
I think I could
Sorry,
maybe I could
sorry,
complete that
1 minute.
because perhaps he could not mention. I will just repeat that reply. Under the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act, the operator, that is Nuclear Power Corporation at this stage, has to keep funds available to the tune of 1,500 crore. Earlier, they were taking a bank guarantee for complying with the requirements of the Act. And now, a provision is now available through an insurance package where the fund operator would be General Insurance Corporation of India Limited with the help of several other Indian private and public sector insurance companies, non-life insurance companies. They have gathered a pool, and in this pool a contribution has very recently been also obtained from a foreign pool. So the entire 1,500 crore is available. Now this money is available for the sake of providing the required support for Nuclear Power Corporation to take up insurance of 1,500 crore. Subsequently, the suppliers which are now supposed to be kept under the purview of the Act to be able to and who are liable for right of recourse in case any incident takes place, Nuclear Power Corporation could try to recover from them that kind of a fund. They also will be then covered under an insurance scheme, which is a supplement to the main scheme, which is for the grant of nuclear liability assurance for Nuclear Power Corporation. This will address the concerns of the suppliers, which are primarily in the Indian context. We have got the Indian suppliers for Gorakhpur Haryana project when we for the first time we noticed the impact on a real project, but there will be similarly other projects also they are getting affected. So first priority Indian suppliers. There are also many questions raised by foreign suppliers, and particularly when the visit of President Obama took place and our own Prime Minister had a dialogue, this matter was also one of the important parameters for discussion. And prior to that itself, an important understanding was reached with the American side that with this kind of a provision we were having in mind at that time, the concerns of the foreign suppliers also could be adequately addressed. So now we have got a solution for the entire nuclear industry in the country. Gorakhpur Haryana project and also other projects and operating plants will be coming together for a full package which the insurance company is proposing. Yeah.
So you said foreign has added to it.
Yes.
It was only 900 crores earlier.
Yes.
Now it is 15, right?
Exactly.
So where has that 600 crores come from? Who is it? Can you identify?
Well, actually, ideally, it should be answered properly by General Insurance Corporation. I was there in the event yesterday. There is some kind of an insurance company based in London, which is a very highly reputed funding agency. They have agreed for providing that missing sum. But let me also tell you that we had an important requirement put for the creation of this pool, that no inspector from a foreign country would be allowed to come for assessment of our plant for insurability. That requirement is being fully met, and from that perspective, there is no loss, and this particular requirement has been fully met. So, if you...
Yeah, the Kanwaljit, 1 minute, yeah. Prashant, TV9. Yeah.
सर खासकर जैतापुर को लेके शिवसेना का काफी जोरदार विरोध है, सरकार में भी शिवसेना है. आप शिवसेना को समझा पाएंगे जैतापुर को लेके, लगता है आपको?
मेरे ख्याल से इस प्रश्न का उत्तर हो गया.
Yeah, you wanted
पहले प्रश्न के साथ ही ये जुड़ रहा है, उत्तर भी वही है.
Dr. Singh, it means this insurance issue which Dr. Sinha was saying, this nuclear liability issue which was hanging for quite some time, you have been able to resolve to a great extent. Can I say this?
This nuclear liability issue had generated certain amount of misgivings, which we have been trying ever since to clarify. The Civil Nuclear Liability Act of 2010 has not been changed or altered in any way. That is a very important message, and in nutshell which should go. Actually, there was some kind of apprehension as we were trying to meddle with it. There's nothing of that sort, and the interest of the victim is to be protected by all means. That is a commitment and we'll stand by that. There was only some, whatever was the new provision possibly was more directed to the supplier of the domestic origin rather than, so that was some debate about what would happen to the foreign suppliers, etc. But that was more of a misgiving, and I believe that has been now settled and that air has been cleared.
So we'll take
Sir?
last two questions here.
Sir, I'm Rashmi Sehgal. I have two questions. One, the first is this 1,500 crore, is this for a particular nuclear facility or is it for the entire subcontinent?
No. This is
And my second question, sir, is that there has been a lot of misgivings about your water resources for your Gorakhpur. The facility has still to come up. But there have been a lot of misgivings from the local farming communities there that there is not enough water to be able to run such a large facility.
Anyway, this he'll answer, but this is for, it's not only for the particular Gorakhpur thing, but anyway,
Actually,
Dr. Sinha is
if
talking
you
about.
see the act, it is per nuclear incident, the liability of the operator is to be able to compensate for 1,500 crore. So, as soon as one incident takes place, the coverage of the insurance will end, another insurance, some other policy will emerge at that, as a part of that. So, now next question was about water.
It's like an insurance cover of a life insurance. So one life is lost, then you have to have another life and another insurance. It's like that. Or after one accident, you have another accident insurance. It's like that.
I would only say that before the plant is sited anywhere, some of the important parameters need to be well established, evacuation from the grid and water supply requirements. And in these matters, the state government has to provide a required assurance. In this specific case, water supply assurance has been given by the government of Haryana, and based on which the plant is being set up.
That will be the last question.
Actually, without sounding political, I might just like to add that this happened after the change of the government in Haryana.
Mrs. Sinha, you briefly mentioned about the feasibility of these projects. What is the per megawatt cost that you're looking at here, and what will be the per unit cost as well? Because your primary buyers for this electricity are in a dire straits right now.
Well, the fundamental criteria is that the cost of electricity from nuclear shall be comparable with the cost of electricity coming from another competing plant in the neighborhood, be it coal or whatever. And this requirement is definitely paramount, otherwise the operator will not be able to sell. And certainly nobody will like to invest in such a project. So that is the first important requirement. Your question about per megawatt cost is not really very relevant, because you know that in nuclear industry, the cost of the plant, basic electricity cost actually comes because of the capital charges. 75% of the total electricity bill will actually arise out of the payments to be made towards capital charges, interest, etc. during the first 18 to 20 years of its life. Once that is paid, almost the entire electricity comes at very low cost, because then you have to only take care of fuel cost. Nuclear fuel cost is only around 5 to 10% of the total electricity cost. As compared to many other industry, like in coal, it will be around 2/3 to 3/4 of the total electricity cost. So while those charges can keep on increasing with time, nuclear industry, the basic advantage is that the capital charges once paid, the cost of uranium is so low of a component in the total electricity generation cost, it is not vulnerable to escalation. So this is the fundamental economics of nuclear power. So we should talk about unit energy cost. That's the most important.
I think, I mean, he has gone a little more academic. So that's well taken, what you said. I mean, this was not expected in a usual kind of press meet, but this is an academically, academic query which have come. But as we move ahead, our reactors, as was being pointed out by Dr. Sinha, will have a longer life. So that also will cut down the life. And therefore, the cost of the power obtained from these sources may be comparable or even lesser than from the other sources. And then if we go on and on in this academic discussion, then we will also have the mention of something called thorium. Okay, but then I will not go into that, because that may not be of interest to the larger audience. But certainly we are moving in that direction.
Sir, not academic at all, because primarily the state electricity boards, the idea here is for you to provide electricity to 280 odd million people who do not have access to electricity. The states have to buy that power.
Yes.
Is there a number you have in mind?
They'll have a reason and incentive to buy because this cost will be either comparable or lesser.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir.
उपलब्धियां बताई हैं सर साल भर की, तो BARC ने इसमें प्रधानमंत्री के तौर पर मनमोहन सिंह का भी फोटो छापा है, तो क्या उनको भी कुछ क्रेडिट देंगे?
Bhai, come on, this is a mistake, I told you. I mean, it was, it's all right. ऐसा mistake तो हो जाता है.
प्रधानमंत्री के तौर पर मनमोहन सिंह को, तो क्या क्रेडिट देंगे उनको?
अभी नरोना साहब के उत्तर के बाद कुछ उत्तर देने की जरूरत नहीं है.
मनमोहन सिंह को आप लोग
It's a picking holes, sir.
इसका उत्तर नरोना साहब.
Okay. Thank you, Minister, sir, and all.